Sudeep, I belong to a small place called Firozpur. Firozpur is a border town, and it's about 7 kilometers away from Pakistan as the crow flies. And a funny part about my childhood was that I changed schools like changing buses. My father, he was a professor of English literature, and whenever he used to find or feel that school is not good enough for me, he would change my school. And by the time I finished my 10th standard, I had toured almost every school of Firoz. This has carried a very profound lesson later in life when when I ponder over it, that when you are seeped in the present moment, then the worries of past and the anxieties of future, they also get dissolved. So present keep you anchored with serenity, with peace.
So, did you happen to also have any friends in Pakistan?
And in fact, my boss, the guy who was my boss and under whom I was working, was again a Pakistani colonel. So he was in the logistics wing, and we were also in the logistics wing over there. And that's the experience I have working with him. And from lieutenant to lieutenant general, there are 9 different ranks that I grew in, practiced the art of leadership, and finally retired in 2019 August. And my experience of working with him was good because he used to bank very heavily on us, the Indians, the Indian staff officers. Any important task, any important work, he would always prefer giving it to us rather than even his own Pakistani officers. He would prefer giving it to us. Probably he had more confidence in our work ethics or maybe the quality of work we used to produce. This was the trend which I observed, and not only me, my other friends from India who were there with us, even they also observed. And that is how it worked. And that is the time when I was tasked to go and occupy a post facing Bangladesh, and there were terrorist or the insurgent camps on the opposite hillside, and we were separated by a river, that was the IB. And so we were told to occupy and given very strict orders that be vigilant and don't get killed. So it was quite an order, and I was quite excited that I'm getting operational, the chance to be in operation so early in my career. So I was very excited. And why they said be vigilant, don't get killed, and don't ensure by casualties, because in a similar post about a couple of months earlier, they had captured, they had attacked and butchered people, outnumbered them and butchered.
That in order to build up trust, and you rightly said it cannot be built up overnight, you need to keep practicing it. And the best and the effective way to build up trust over a period of time is to do what you say and say what you do.
So November, one fine day, I suddenly got a flash of a strange number, 1111 appeared in my mind. I ignored it. Next day, in the morning, I heard a briefing of my second in command. The moment he finished the briefing about the terrorist movement, I looked at my watch. It was again at 1111. So 1111 appeared to me a couple of times. I thought, why is this number coming again and again to me? And I by then had become a firm believer of the subconscious mind and the intuitive vibe. During that period, that individual had become a real tiger, disciplinary case. So he had to be handled and handled well. He had also developed a lot of support from the civil. He had people advising him, guiding him. So he had stopped bothering. And when the case was put up to me, I said nothing doing. It had to be taken to a logical end. Okay? He had to be court-martialed because the offense that he has committed is deserving a court-martial. So lot of pulls and pressures that came that I said no. So we ordered a court martial at my level, and it took me almost about a month plus to handle that case in the court martial, and there were a lot of twists and turns. But at the end of it, we gave him a very stern punishment. But now it's a different kind of technology. Quantum theory, quantum physics, artificial intelligence are the new normal. They are also crept into the system, whether it is the corporate world or the army or the defense. It is again a total a disruptor. So things have to keep evolving, changing. Leadership has to keep evolving and changing. वो एक लाइन है ना कि अगर मैंने कमिटमेंट कर ली तो फिर उसके बाद मैं अपनी आपकी भी नहीं सुनता. So that is what it is. Once you have given a word to your subordinate, once you have given some policy, then don't change it overnight, right? Then you must stand by what you've decision that you've taken. आपने एक बार कमिटमेंट कर ली तो फिर किसी की सुनने तो छोड़ो, अपनी भी नहीं सुननी चाहिए. Then you must go through that commitment. You must fulfill that commitment.
Hello everybody, this is Sudeep here. Welcome back to my channel once again. In today's podcast, I am talking to Lieutenant General Bipan Gupta, who is an author, a podcaster, and also a life coach. He has served in our military in a gallant way. In today's podcast, I am going to talk to him about leadership. In this podcast, I have a lot of expectations about leadership to learn from him. And I hope you will also get to learn new traits of leadership from him. So having said that, we will get started in just a minute. But before that, I wanted to request you that to please like, share, comment, and subscribe on this channel so that I get the motivation to keep bringing on such videos for you. So having said that, let's get started. Enjoy the show. So, Deepan sir, a very welcome to my channel, and it's an honor and absolute privilege for me to give this opportunity to speak to you. And once again, as I said before the start of the podcast, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for the service to the nation and for keeping all of us safe and letting us sleep peacefully at night. So it's an honor again to speak to you, and I'm so happy that you are here.
Thank you, Sudeep, and thank you for inviting me to your show. And I'm really delighted to be here with you.
Thank you, sir. And the honor is absolutely mine. So let's start. And generally, at the beginning of the podcast, I ask people about how they grew up, about their childhood. Like, do you have a military background in the family? And do you come from a military family? Your like education background, and how did you get into military? Did you always think that you will be into the military? And then your training days, and then as you grew in rank and position, where all you have served and all that. So like a little bit of background so that our viewers come to know about you. So that's the first question for you, and I hand it over to you to start.
Yeah, Sudeep, I belong to a small place called Firozpur. Firozpur is a border town, and it's about 7 kilometers away from Pakistan as the crow flies. So I grew up there, and life there was a little unusual because of the close proximity to the border, but it had its own adventure and glory, right? And a funny part about my childhood was that I changed schools like changing buses. My father, he was a professor of English literature, and whenever he used to find or feel that school is not good enough for me, so he would change my school. And by the time I finished my 10th standard, I had toured almost every school of Firozpur. Now, it appeared quite upsetting and unsettling at that time, but it had a flip side. You know, maybe nature was trying to prepare me for life in the army. As you know, in the army, we change our places every 2 years. We go to new location, meet new people, new environment, and probably that was happening. So that is one. And secondly, we had a very rugged childhood. You know, uh, anything and everything which is outdoor found favors with me at all times. We would play all kind of outdoor games, flying kites, seven stones, पिट्ठू गरब जिसको बोलते हैं, then playing marble, then playing tip cat, which is also called as gilli danda. So going to the borders, gallivanting with friends, cousins, and all that. So this used to happen, and in those days, the botheration of preparing for the school next day or uniform or scolding of parent never bothered because we were seeped in that moment, immersed in that moment. And being close to the border area, I also grew through the 65 and 71 wars. I was a child with 6 years or 7 years in 65 and what 12 years in 71. So, it was a great fun activity for us because the siren drills, going through siren drills, the blaring sirens, the blackouts, and the civil defense training camp, running for shelter and all that. It was a great fun activity for us. For our parents, it was a lot of stress, but for us, it was unstoppable fun. So this was carried a very profound lesson later in life when I ponder over it, that when you are seeped in the present moment, then the worries of past and the anxieties of future, they also get dissolved. So present keep you anchored with serenity, with peace. That is what was happening to us. I shifted to Chandigarh after doing my schooling and did my graduation and post graduation there in MSc honors in zoology, science subject. And I had decided that I will join Indian Forest Services, or maybe I'll do my PhD, for which I'll go abroad on scholarship and become a scientist or a professor. But life had a different plan for me. And the first competitive exam that I appeared was the CDS. So I cleared CDS exam, then thereafter followed by interview, then it followed by medical, everything in one go. So it happened in quick succession. And although I had a lot of apprehensions about joining because being the first generation in the army, not knowing fully well as to how life is in the army, and I had done MSc honors, I had a bright prospect of going abroad and all. So that had to go if I was to join the army. But then I decided to flow with the wind, and I joined Indian Military Academy. And life was pretty tough there, and we were moving from one activity to the other. But as the time passed, it became fun for all of us because we accepted the reality of Indian Military Academy, right? Because it was our own doing. It was my free will to join the army. So we unconditionally accepted that life and we became part of it. So there lies another lesson, that when you have unconditional acceptance, then the journey becomes joyful. So I did my Indian Military Academy for 1.5 years. I passed out, became a commissioned officer. And thereafter, I served in the army for close to about 4 decades. And from lieutenant to lieutenant general, there are 9 different ranks that I grew in, practiced the art of leadership, and finally retired in 2019 August. Then thereafter we shifted to where we are now. It's called Panchkula in Haryana, And for last 5 6 years we are here. I'm into writing books. I've written 2 books. I've also done a podcast. I am a very keen golfer. So I spend about 3 4 days in a week to play golf. That takes about 4 to 5 hours. And life is good. That is how my journey till this place, this time.
Yeah. So thank you for those pearls of wisdom as you took us through your life journey till now. So hope that gives us a lot of learnings, and hopefully the viewers will also appreciate that, that you accept whatever is there and it becomes joyful and all those lessons. Thank you for that. So one question I had from what you did from your life journey, you belong to a border town, say called Firozpur, which is pretty near to Pakistan and all that, right?
Yeah.
And you saw 65, 71 wars. So did you happen to also have any friends in Pakistan? Because you belong to a border town and maybe there are contacts, some villagers, something. Did you, in any time during your childhood, did you have any such experience?
No, no, not at all. I had absolutely no contact with any of the Pakistani people around there. But yes, I had done a foreign mission. It's a UN mission which was in Somalia, and there we were deployed in the force headquarters, and there were about contingents from 34 countries, and Pakistan was one of them. So there we would, interact with them socially with Pakistani officers and their men, and whenever we used to meet in a joint function or a combined function, that's about all. Besides that, and in fact, my boss, my the guy who was my boss and under whom I was working, was again a Pakistani colonel. So he was in the logistics wing, and we were also in the logistics wing over there. And that's the experience I have with working with them.
So I mean, that brings me to another interesting question. Your boss was a Pakistani, so how did you find him? I mean, was he a good boss, bad boss, or a good leader? I mean, how do you rate him, and what's your experience basically dealing with such Pakistani and reporting to a Pakistani, something like that? I mean, is it a positive experience, negative experience?
No, no, it was a positive experience only because when you're going to a different place, different country under a common umbrella, UN umbrella, then your role and duties are totally different, right? Then you've gone there as a staff officer, so working under one head, you know, under UN. And my experience of working with him was good because he used to bank very heavily on us, the Indians, the Indian staff officers. Any important task, any important work, he would always prefer giving it to us rather than even his own Pakistani officers. He would prefer giving it to us. Probably he had more confidence in our work ethics or maybe the quality of work we used to produce. This was the trend which I observed, and not only me, my other friends from India who were there with us, even they also observed, and that is how it was.
Yeah, that's a very true statement. That's why we all feel so proud about our armed forces, and I mean, the little bit we can do and praise our armed forces, I feel it is always very, very less. They are so professional, so dedicated, so patriotic. It is amazing. I mean, one of the best forces probably, if you look around the world, our Indian army, and we should always salute them for what they do. So that's an important thing. So जैसे
Sudeep,
कि हर एक पॉट
one
yeah,
second.
sure, sir.
Sudeep,
Go
I
ahead.
think your voice is cracking. I think your net is not that. Sometimes you're becoming a stationary. Your voice is sometimes coming a little cracking. So just see if you can fix it. Your
Is
your,
it
your
okay now?
picture your picture become stationary as if your eyes are closed, and
Okay.
then so maybe
No,
the
actually, that happens. Sometimes it is happening for you also, but it actually when the recording gets done, it this tool stabilizes all that. So if you are unable to hear my question or anything, please do ask me. I'll repeat.
No question I'm able to hear, but there is a little gap between the
Yeah,
words.
yeah,
Slight,
yeah,
slight.
yeah.
I hope it
So
will not
that
affect the
happens.
quality of recording. I
That
hope.
happens sometimes, but when the recording comes out, it will be all okay. So no need
Okay,
to worry.
fine. Then it is all right. So then I thought
Okay.
that you must bring it to your notice. Okay, fine. We can continue.
So yeah. So जैसे कि हर एक पॉडकास्ट में होता है, I watch a lot of military podcasts and I am just intrigued by the experiences the armed personals share, stories
Yeah.
like encounter with terrorists, war stories, and then relief stories and all those. Like कहीं पे बाढ़ आ गया तो हम लोगों ने जाके कैसे सबको वहां से निकाला, ये सब. I mean, amazing stories. So this podcast, very early in the podcast, I want you to share your experience, like one or two experiences which remain with you lifelong or will remain with you lifelong, where you have encountered such situations and have dealt with it in a strong way, and anything that you could remember or share.
I would like to quote a real life anecdote. When I had just joined the army, right? I was a youngster, second lieutenant. Those days, we used to start from second lieutenant. These days, we start from lieutenant. That rank is no longer there. So I was about 4 months into the army and posted in interior of northeast. Northeast that time was reeling under insurgency, the entire northeast, most of it. And that is the time when I was tasked to go and occupy a post facing Bangladesh, and there were terrorist or the insurgent camps on the opposite hillside, and we were separated by a river. That was the IB, and so we were told to occupy and given very strict orders that be vigilant and don't get killed. So it was quite an order, and I was quite excited that I'm getting operational, you know, the chance to be in operation so early in my career. So I was very excited. And why they said be vigilant, don't get killed, and don't ensure by casualties, because in a similar post about a couple of months earlier, they had captured, they had attacked and butchered people, outnumbered them and butchered. So we occupied that post after 2 days of walking through thick jungles and boat patrols and foot patrol and all that, and occupied that finally. And nothing happened immediately, but as the days passed, and that was somewhere in October in 82. So October turned into November. So November, one fine day, I suddenly got a flash or a strange number, 1111 appeared in my mind. I ignored it. Next day, in the morning, I heard a briefing of my second in command. The moment he finished the briefing about the terrorist movement, I looked at my watch. It was again at 1111. So 1111 appeared to me a couple of times. I thought, why is this number coming again and again to me? And I, by then, had become a firm believer of the subconscious mind and the intuitive vibes. So I thought, let me take this number seriously. So I decided to lay an ambush, between our location and the insurgent location one fine night, and covering the 11 o'clock approach to our camp. Going by 1111, right? And we were there in that ambush site for about 2 3 nights. Nothing happened. After 3 nights, I was given an early warning that there are a group of people who are crossing the river. So we allowed them to come in between, in the middle of the river. And that is the time when we challenged them. So they panicked, they opened fire, which gave us their position and location and intent. We were sure that they were insurgents. We also opened fire, but they went back, realizing that they have been caught in ambush. Firing stopped, but after some time, the firing again began. I said, "Why the hell is they're firing again? They've already broken the ambush. They've gone back." And our aim was also not to kill them. Aim was to capture them because, after all, they are our own Muslim people from our own country. So aim was not to kill them. But anyway, my again intuitive mind told me that there is something more to it, and there is a some some mischievous plan they must have cooked up. So I decided to keep few people there and went back to my post and laid another ambush there, leaving there were some people already occupying the post, and we laid an ambush outside it. So there were two places we were waiting for them to come, and they took a detour, thinking that our post is depleted, we'll be able to attack and butcher, outnumber them what they did earlier, not realizing that my spontaneous and intuitive vibes have given me early warning, and we were already waiting for them. So they walked into our trap, and when we challenged them, they ran left, right, and we captured two, three of them. And they told us that they had decided to attack us on 11 November. So that is why this significance of 11/11 that came to my mind. So, uh, I felt that it is my, uh, intuitive wisdom, or or something, divine intervention, you can call it, that we were able to uh, repulse that deadly attack. And we had no casualties. They also had no casualty, but that was not the aim, and we got hold of a few of them, and that is how. So this is one of the very interesting operation that happened immediately after I got commissioned, within the first 3 to 4 months. I still remember it very vividly.
So, did that make you very spiritual or believer in divine, that those numbers flashed up in your mind before actually the operation took place or these people came to attack you guys? Did that change the course of your life, that you started believing that there is a higher force somewhere who is guiding you into the right direction so that you are not hurt, you can protect your people and all those sort of stuff?
Yeah, listen, Sudeep, I was introduced to the amazing world of meditation at the young age of 12 by my father. So meditation at that time, actually, it didn't make much sense to, but then there was a seed of meditation or spirituality which was sown into my system. And I also read, my father being an avid reader, I also read a lot of books on spirituality, on life science, on spiritual science, on mind power, on intuitive vibes, etc., etc., on occult. So that is how I grew up. Meditation and book reading became part and parcel of my life. And mind is something about which I'm so fascinated from the beginning itself. So that's why I read a lot. I did a lot of research. So I'm a firm believer of sixth sense, or the intuitive wisdom, right? People think that we are five sensory. We are not five sensory. We are six sensory people. And if you believe in that, then yes, you will get the messages. So my belief in spirituality, or my belief in intuitive vibe, my belief in the power of awareness, consciousness, uh, started developing at a very young age, and it continued as I progressed in life, right? So even today, I meditation has now become part and parcel of my life. It has become an addiction. So that is how I grew up. And so, yes, what to answer your question, yes, it made a lot of difference. It reinforced my belief in the power of higher wisdom, in the power of higher energy, in the universe. Uh, you know, it cemented my views. Yes.
Good to know that, sir. In this world, we all are guided by someone or from somewhere. Sometimes we realize, but sometimes we don't. So that's the unfortunate part of life, but it's
Yeah.
good to know that. So, moving on, sir, I have a question for you. Since this podcast is dedicated towards leadership, let me start by asking you, maybe a little difficult question, one that have suddenly, it has come to my mind. As a leader in the armed forces, you have might have taken a lot of difficult decisions at times, right? What was the most difficult decision that you had taken when you served in the military? I mean, what was the circumstances and why you had to take such a difficult decision, and what was the outcome of that decision? Was it good, bad, or neutral, something like that? If you can share something on that, and
Oh,
what you learned from that kind of like hard decisions, how those should be taken, or should they be avoided, put on someone else's shoulder, your senior shoulder, something like that. So you can share some wisdom on that.
you see, as you grow up in the army, you come across many situations which are very tricky as a leader. Life doesn't move in a linear fashion. Life is unlike maths, it's non linear. You have challenges, you have ups and downs, you have highs and lows. And sometimes you have to take very hard decisions, right? Because discipline is something which is very, very important for the Indian Army. There is no absolutely no compromise on that. And if there is a disciplinary case, it has to be dealt very, very severely, so that it becomes a lessons for others, right? So that they don't do it. So there was one such case when I took command of a battalion. There was one such case which was going on, in which uh, there was a there was a fight between two ranks of the army or my unit, and in which the junior had, gone astray and done something which is I can't even explain it to you. And so they were finding it very hard to manage him, to handle him, because the unit at that stage when I joined was without the commanding officer for a few months, couple of months, and during that period, that individual had become a real tiger, disciplinary case. So he had to be handled and handled well. He'd also developed a lot of support from the civil. He had people advising him, guiding him. So he had stopped bothering. And when the case was put up to me, I said nothing doing. It had to be taken to a logical end. ठीक है? He had to be court martialed because the offense that he has committed is deserving a court martial. So lot of pulls and pressures that came, that I said no. So we ordered a court martial at my level, and it took me almost about a month plus to handle that case in the court martial, and there were a lot of twists and turns. But at the end of it, we gave him a very stern punishment. And later on, after about few days, when I met him at some other place, few days or few months, I met him again. So I told him that this punishment that was given to you because you did this that was wrong, right? And there was no other way but to punish you. And the aim was to make sure that you don't repeat it in future. Because aim is to mend somebody. Aim is not to put somebody at a place that he feels himself to be out of the system. Aim is that you must give a chance. You give punishment, but also at the same time give chance. Think from your mind when you're punishing somebody. Think from your mind, but give punishment from your heart. So that means you strike a balance. The punishment, what he deserved, was given to him, and he later on probably reconciled and got back into the mainstream. Cases like this are umpteen. I can go on narrating many number of cases, but the point is that uh, hard decisions have to be taken when required, and you should not feel hesitant if it is in the interest of the organization, and if it is in the interest of the unit that you're serving. That is the uppermost. That should be the uppermost in your mind.
So you said you met him afterwards, and then you discussed something with him and he realized most probably. So, I mean, so before giving the punishment or ordering a court martial, did you ever think in your heart, from a leadership point of view, right? Did your heart say that let's go a little bit soft on this guy? Let me talk to him and try to mend his ways so that he doesn't repeat those mistakes before I give him a harsh punishment, such as a court martial or something like that? Does your leadership uh, uh, intuition like work in that way, or it's straight
If I had
goes
given him,
into?
if I had let him off, or had given him a not commensurating punishment, then it would have spoiled the unit atmosphere. It would have sent a wrong message to all ranks that you can commit a crime and you can get away with it. So there is no way that I could have given him soft punishment. No way. I gave him punishment what he deserved, as commensurating with the crime or the offense that he committed. There is no two way about it. It never occurred to me that I should let him go, because see, he had become incorrigible. He had to be told that you can't get away. There is a system in place. There's a method in madness. You are on the wrong side deliberately by design. Then well, you will get punishment. That is the message, stern message that was given to him, and through him to the environment of the unit. So it is very important.
Yeah, so leaders have to take strong decisions at times. Okay, so moving on. So now that you have transitioned from military leadership to a civilian life, right? Um, did your uh, the leadership philosophies from the military life to a civilian life, did that get changed in any way? Or because in military you meet with disciplined people, you have to follow certain structures, rules, regulations and all that, right? But in a
Yeah.
civilian life, ठीक है चलता है कुछ होगा तो देखा जाएगा. You can also take that kind of a attitude at times, right? At home, with friends, with relatives and all that, right? So has your leadership principles that you followed in the military changed over the course of time when you like transitioned into a civilian life, or it still remains the same?
So if you look at the definition of leadership, let's handle this question this way. Then if you look at the definition of leadership, it's all about inspiring, motivating, and guiding people towards achievement of a common goal or the shared goal and vision of the organization that you are serving. That's the definition of leadership. And the definition of leadership has remained the same over the years and it cannot change. But what has changed definitely, as you're saying, as you're asking me, is the style of leadership, the approach to leadership, the requirement of leadership, what people expect out of a leader. That has changed. Life 4 or 5 decades earlier, when the army was pretty simple. There was no social media. Technology was very limited. There was hardly anything. I'm talking about 40, 50 years ago. And hence the pressures were also manageable. Stress levels were low. Individual aspirations were not very high. And people were generally living a very simple and happy life, contented life. And leadership that time was purely top-down approach. Leaders gave directives, leaders gave orders, and they expected that it will be followed. It will be obeyed. It will be complied with. That is how it worked. Although leaders at time used to set up personal example to motivate and inspire, but the decision making was very centralized. It was controlled, centralized. But when we entered into 21st century, things changed drastically. The social media crept in, it got infested into the body, mind, and soul of the new age generation. When I'm saying new age generation, all those who lived in this age, I'm talking about, I'm counting myself and the younger generation of millennials and Gen Zs and everybody. And besides that, technology, although it brought along with it a lot of advantages, but it came with huge negative side effects. The individual aspirations skyrocketed, and the work culture became a bit toxic. There were manipulations, there were multitasking. People had to juggle with many projects at the same time. The gig economy had its own pressure. There was no continuity. There was digital overload. People were just, watching screen, finding very less time to have a downtime or to stay away. So it led to early burnout, and a whole lot of things crept in. And because of that, the leadership also had to change. It had to evolve. It had no option but to change and evolve. Because people, besides perks, they wanted purpose. They wanted a harmonious culture. They wanted a human approach and an egalitarian style of working. So leaders, instead of commanding, they started to connect. So from commanding to connection, from controlling to co-creating, and from authority to authentic influencing, that became the norm. And all those who followed the transformational style of leadership, wherein you take care of the personal growth of the people, or the teams, or the followers, or your command, take care of their mental and physical well-being, you attend to their individual needs, you create a good work culture, right? Harmonious work culture, and you build trust, loyalty, bring in an element of empathy. That is what becomes more appealing to the new age generation, which is going through a very tough time, because life is totally different. It is very fast paced life. And that is what, so leadership has to come as a therapy. It should have an effect of a therapy. That is what has changed. That is what I have seen as I was retiring, which is about 4, 5 years, 5, 6 years earlier. And that is what we followed. That is how we dealt. The way I've explained it to you. That is what the biggest change that I've noticed. And now, now that we have this AI, artificial intelligence also crept in. So it has become, now it is becoming an AI enabled world. Technology, AI is also technology, but now it's a different kind of technology. Quantum theory, quantum physics, artificial intelligence are the new normal. They are also crept in into the system, whether it is a corporate world or the army or the defense. It is again a total a disruptor. So things have to
Yes,
keep evolving, changing. Leadership has to keep evolving and changing. Style I'm talking about. Definition remains the same.
yes. Definition and the fundamental concepts of leadership, having a vision, leading people, and all those remain the same. But
They can't
the
change.
way
They can't.
you the way you do it, maybe the ways and means will change.
Ways and means will change. Approach will change. The expectation of a leader will change. How the leader operate will change. Style will change. Right?
Yes, absolutely. So
But not the
I'm sure,
definition.
sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
continue.
uh, I'm sure, sir. You have also served during the Kargil war, is it?
No, I was not involved in the Kargil war, because I was in the staff. I was posted at the staff headquarters in Delhi.
Okay, okay.
I was not
So I
directly
wanted to
involved.
ask if you could share any uh, great leadership stories from the time of Kargil war, if you have any, or your
They're all,
personal experiences.
these stories are out in the open. I mean, their history, the people showed exceptional courage. I mean, you can't even imagine the way we captured those heights, and the way the youngsters, they performed so well, uh, in total disregard to their own safety. I mean, they just went and did a job, a tremendous job. It is a story of courage, a story of individual people taking things in a manner that they never bothered about their own security and safety and family. What mattered at that time was to go there and win. So that is there out in the open. But unfortunately, I was not part of that. I was posted in the staff headquarter at that time.
Okay. 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 So, next question for you, as this podcast is dedicated towards leadership. So, um, what does it mean to you personally, leadership in the age of AI? So, I know you have touched upon this briefly in the previous answer, but if you could elaborate a little bit as to how we should look at
Yeah,
leadership in the age of AI.
you see, Sudip, leadership uh, today is at a very fascinating crossroad. And now, with AI becoming an inseparable part of our life, personal life and professional life, people have started asking questions that once the AI graduate from generative AI to AGI, which is the artificial general intelligence, where it will start thinking and behaving like humans, will it replace leadership? I mean, but the answer is no, it can't. And I'll give you my perspective on this because I have led and I told you that I grew up from second lieutenant to lieutenant general, and I have a 4 years of experience of leading at different levels. I have interacted with large number of millennials and Gen Zs, the younger generation, during the last 3 4 years of my service on a one-to-one basis, almost every day. So I know their psyche, I know about them, but I feel that AI can predict data. AI can also augment decision making. It can analyze the data and predict. But leadership is not about logic. Leadership is about vision. Leadership is about empathy. It is about influencing, right? That is what leadership is all about. And machines, they cannot do that job. It is the leaders who have to do this. Machines can't. So, but leaders, what they have to do is they have to tweak their approach. And in AI-enabled world, it is no longer about giving answers. It is about asking the right questions, right? And guiding your command with clarity and purpose. Now, in AI, unless you ask the right question, you will not get the right answer, right? To give you an example, there are two people sitting at two different places. You tell them, okay, this is the subject on which you should ask the options to the AI. Now, both will frame the question in a different manner and they get a different answer. Okay? It may be right or wrong. So, what is important is that you should have the ability and the art of asking what you really want to ask, and only then you will get the correct answer. That is what AI is all about. I'll just draw a parallel. Now, in the spiritual world, there is something called as manifestation. Manifestation is that you're asking, you're seeking something, and you want it to manifest. I'll give you a very mundane example. Even in manifestation, also, when you are affirming, or when you're asking, or when you're praying, your prayer or when you're asking something, it has to be correctly worded. Otherwise, it can be taken astray. It can be taken differently. Now, let's say you're playing a game of golf. You have a water obstacle or a tree right in front of you. If you affirm by saying that I should not, oh my god, I should not hit the tree, I should not go into the water obstacle, the universe will only understand water obstacle and tree, and surely you will go and hit the tree and the water obstacle. So what you have instead, what you have to say is that my I should hit in a manner that my ball, the golf ball, should soar high and should land in the center of the fairway. That is the right framing. Similarly, in AI also, unless you frame your thoughts and questions correctly, you will not get the correct answer. That is one. Secondly, AI also, artificial intelligence also has to collaborate with the human intelligence. After all, it is the human behind the machine. And when I'm talking about the human intelligence, I'm referring to inbuilt human intelligence. It is called as spiritual intelligence, or it is also called as spiritual quotient. It is the mother of all intelligence. It is the mother of IQ, EQ, HQ, and I would even not hesitate to say it is the mother of even AI also, because it lays the basic foundation upon which every other intelligence thrive. To give you an example, a guy with a high IQ, now he can become arrogant, intellectually arrogant, or misuse his intelligence. A person who's got high EQ, emotional quotient, may get emotionally drained, and a person who uses AI blindly, without infusing his own mind or his own intelligence, can get into some blind spot. Unless they have a spiritual resilience, unless they have the awareness, unless and until they use their intuitive wisdom, they will not be able to get the best out of it. That is why I said SI is the mother of all intelligence. So leaders have to use, in the AI enabled world, they have to collaborate their spiritual intelligence with the artificial intelligence. Then it becomes a winning combination. Because SI, if I may elaborate a little bit, SI has got basically five elements, right? It is, first element is awareness. Awareness, we all understand. Our perception rides on awareness. A person who's aware, any input that is given by the artificial intelligence AI, he will be able to analyze and come to a conclusion as to which is the better option. So he's trying to infuse the AI machine intelligence with the human intelligence through his awareness, power of awareness, right? The second element is spontaneity. Spontaneity is like intuitive wisdom. It is basically getting the knowledge or intuitions that whatever thought comes to you first is a thought from the higher wisdom, right? And you take action. It also handles the paradox of choice. Otherwise, we are always today confronting with the problem of plenty. Everything is available in plenty, and we are busy choosing things and wasting time. Spontaneous mind overcome all this. This is the second element. So spontaneity again also is very important in the AI enabled world. And then we come to the holism. Holism is the art of taking everybody along, fostering team spirit. These are the elements of spiritual intelligence that I'm referring to. And holism means that 360-degree approach. You don't miss out on anything. So whatever AI has given you, the inputs that has been given to you by the AI, you have to analyze it holistically, and then your spontaneous mind has to tell you that this is right or this is wrong. This is what you should follow, and this should what you should discard. So holism begins where the spontaneity ends. Spontaneity gives you power to choose, and holism work on that option to make it right. And then it leads me to the fourth element, and the fourth element is humility. Humility, which foster faith, trust, empathy. It is a expression of power and not the expression of weakness. It is giving up your false pride in order to retain your dignity. A leader who's got empathy, he will judge the AI input and will find and try to apply it on the human, or the HR, human force, and working under them. AI may say tomorrow, get up and say that, okay, because of cost cutting, you lay off, mass layoff. But if he's got that empathy and humility with him, a leader may say, okay, fine, why not go for upskilling? Why not divert them to some different? Why not increase the capacity and absorb this worker? So it's very important in a AI enabled world. And finally, it is the happiness, which is the hidden purpose of every human, because we have happiness hormones embedded in our system, wired into our system. Now, AI does not. AI is cold. AI is inert. Happiness is something which is human. It brings in, that harmony. It brings collaboration. A happy mind is happy to collaborate with each other and work. So what I'm trying to say is that in the AI enabled world, we have to use human intelligence, which is I'm referring to as a spiritual intelligence, in conjunction with the AI, and then arrive at the decision making. Right? Don't blindly follow AI, because AI data can be spoofed also, AI data can be hacked also, and it can be anything. Ultimately, it is the leader who will be the responsible for the success or failure. That's what I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. So happiness is what we are all after, right? Every day, every moment, every second, most probably. And I wish I the corporate leaders also hear what you said last, right? And I wish it's a combination of spiritual intelligence and artificial intelligence, like you described, that comes into force in future. Because nowadays you see it's all about greed as to how much money I can make by laying off another 10 people, 20 people, and all that. So that's unfortunately the world we live in, which is not the right world, I
Yeah.
would say. But anyway, that's how it is. So, dragging on from that thing, right? I know you have written in your book about hidden genius, right? In human conscience, right? How, as a leader, uh, I mean, and I believe everybody, every human being that walks on this earth has some kind of a hidden genius inside him or her, right? It's only a matter of trying to find it out and nurture that. So, as a leader, it becomes a leader's job to also help him find that out, and then make sure he or she nurtures it and grows in life and ultimately finds happiness, right? Uh, so how do you do that in this age of AI? Because people do not have patience, people do not have time, people do not want to listen to anybody nowadays. Everybody is a hero nowadays. So how do you nurture this kind of a leadership skill where you help people to find out their hidden geniuses and then lead a peaceful and happy life, right?
When I'm referring to hidden genius in my book, I'm referring to a common pool of collective human consciousness. So, ever since the inception of humanity, which is about approximately 2 lakh years ago, 200,000 years ago, whatever we have thought, whatever we have discovered, whatever we have done, everything goes into this pool of collective human consciousness, right? And this can be accessed through our intuitive mind or subconscious mind. All of us can access it. But the caveat is that to access it through your intuitive mind, you need to be very calm and serene in your body, mind, and soul, right? Mind should be clutter free. Then the connection is made. And once the connection is made, you get the intuitive vibes, you get flash messages, you get divine intervention, you get gut
Like
feeling.
that 11 11
Sixth
one.
sense. Yeah, sixth sense, 11 11, sixth sense. It comes to you. But are you in a receiving mode? That's the question. Unfortunately, people don't believe that. Firstly, they don't believe that they are six sensory people. They feel that they are five senses only. So, your belief in the sixth sense or intuitive wisdom is very important. Once you have a belief in it, then you should keep your body and mind calm and serene and in the present moment. Forget about past and future. They have a role to play. Past is to learn and future is to plan. Once these two things are done, you must come back to present. And when you're in the present moment, when you're writing, when you're doing something, you have a problem, this will come. So a guy who's technologically, you know, totally absorbed today, it is good to have some nice practices like meditation, practices like having a little downtime from the digital world, being with yourself. That is the time when these flash messages will come. That is the time when leaders of AI enabled world can access this intuitive wisdom or hidden genius, which has solution to every conceivable human problem, because it is just like a cloud, of information, and its storage is huge. You can't even imagine. I said ever since the inception of humanity, everything has gone into this. So whatever human problem is there, you can access. I can access your mind. I can access somebody else's mind. Wherever it is a common, shared pool, and from there I can access it. I may not have thought of that, but you may have thought of that. So if you have an answer, I can access it through that. It is a subtle field, but it works. It is also called as higher wisdom. It is called as higher energy. You may call it whatever suits you, but it exists. And people in the AI enabled world, or in today's world, or the new age, can access it. I've told you the way, the method, how it can be done. And they can make use of it.
Very interesting, sir. I hope people nowadays take some time out to realize all these things and make their lives better. I mean, these are wonderful wisdom. I should say pearls of wisdom that you are sharing with us. So, moving on to another question, right? We live in an era where raw data and analytics and matter much more to us rather than storytelling, gut feeling, and maybe uh, building narratives and all that, right? So, how do you look at this? I mean, is it a good way to live a life based on only data and analytics rather than we as humans have some feelings, some gut feelings, right? Somebody telling us a good story. Somebody once told me that the six most powerful words in this world are "Let me tell you a story." These are six words, and this is the most powerful six words ever written or told in human history. Because to whoever you tell these six words, he or she, even if it's an 8-year-old or an 80-year-old, he or she will immediately look up to you saying that, what is the story? So, how do you look at this? Is it becoming a raw data world, or still there is a fascination for stories, especially with Gen Zs and all those folks, right?
You see, I agree that data has become a very important part. It is very, very, it's being used that way. But at the same time, you can't say that narratives and stories have no place in this modern age, in this time and age. Narratives and stories, they stick to you, as you said yourself very well, very rightly, that they are the motivators. When you give some live anecdote to somebody, something that has happened to you, or something that has happened to somebody whom you know, it sticks to you. It creates an impact, right? So in the army, we also believe in narratives and storytelling, and that is why we also read the biographies and the campaigns. We read books and biographies because that convey some very important lessons. And we also have case studies. It's very interesting that when I was in way back in 2010, when I was posted in one of the headquarters, very big headquarters in the northern theater, that is the time when I was handling cases of HR cases, you know, and a lot of untoward incidents, disciplinary cases used to come to me. And I thought that how do we educate people? And that's the time I realized that it is good to learn from others' mistake than rather than committing one yourself and then learning. So I converted those cases, which we analyzed threadbare, into case studies with lessons learned, and it was amazing. Actually, it created an impact. It was introduced into the training establishment. The youngsters, they learned as to what happens when mind in a weaker moment, when you isolated, when you're low, when you're away from your friends and relatives, when you've not seen life, what is happening outside, right? Mind can, in that state, can create a lot of things. How to get rid of that? How to ensure that you don't fall into that pit, right? So stories and narratives are important. They have their relevance, and they bring in a human element. They bring feelings. They bring empathy. They bring all the human values, universal values into fore, which are also important along with data, with what the AI is doing. So both go hand in hand. Both have place.
Yeah, wonderfully put, sir. So, during your life's journey from your childhood to working in the armed forces, now that you are leading a retired life, right? And you have been writing books, doing podcasts, and all that, right? Uh, what surprised you most? Because you have interacted with a lot of good, bad people, right? And all that. In terms of human potential, what surprised you most? That okay, human beings can also do this kind of a thing. This is a tremendous potential. So, any surprising incident or anything that made you realize as a leader that okay, humans are also made for this kind of a thing, and this potential also exists in certain guy or a girl, something like that.
I feel that human potentials can be tapped any time, at any age. It's not that your potentials are at peak when you're young, and the potentials they deplete as you grow in life. I'll give you my own example. Why go far? Uh, Probably that will be more authentic. When I wrote my first book, that was way back in 2020, immediately after retirement. And when my book was, getting reviewed, people were reading it and reviewing it. I got a lot of phone calls from my readers. They said that why don't you do a podcast on this? And in 20s, which is about 5 years ago, I had very little knowledge about podcasting. I, in fact, hardly knew anything about podcasting, and I had already crossed 60 at in that age. So I said, why not learn podcasting? What is podcasting all about? I joined YouTube tutorials, and I was in a great hurry to start my own podcast to publicize the book, because writing a book is one part, and its publicity so that it reach out to a lot of people and people read it is the other 50%. Half of it is that. So within a matter of a month, I think learned podcasting. And second month, which is 30 40 days of my starting this, my solo podcast, the first episode was aired. I couldn't believe it myself that within a matter of 1 month, I didn't know anything about podcasting. It is technology, uh, which I was trying to tap into, and I had just crossed 60, but I could do it. Now, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So there is no end to human potential. People learn today music. I have known people, those who learn music, those who learn new art, when they cross even 80. I mean, there is a human life. In human life, there is nothing called as linearity. It is non-linear. When I'm saying non-linear, means in life, 2 plus 2 can be 20 also. 2 plus 2 can be 0 also, unlike mathematics. Okay? So it is not that A will follow B or B will follow C or vice versa. In life, anything can happen. You can be rich when you turn 80, you can be poor when you turn 80, and vice versa. Well, things can happen the way. So that is what the beauty of life is. So, yes, there is no end or limit to exploring human potentials, but provided you have the courage and you have the will to do it, then there is no hurdle.
So, very important last sentence. So, how important do you think it is for you as a leader to encourage your people or your teams to fail, right? Because failure is essentially a stepping stone to learn something new, right? So, a person can fail one, two, three times, you will learn and eventually get better. So, how essential is that for you?
You see, success and failure they go hand in hand, right? When you are doing something, whether you will meet success or you will meet failure is not known, right? Because as they say that you must focus yourself in the journey and not in the destination. Enjoy the journey, not in the destination. And failing big is very, very important. You must fail big. Unless you fail big, you will never try to achieve something which is big. You will stay throughout your life as status quoist, लकीर के फकीर जिसको हम बोलते हैं, that you don't want to venture in a new path. You don't want to tread on a new avenue or place or path for that matter, and you want to just follow whatever is happening in the past. How would you discover new things? So failing big means that you have the courage and the ability to try something new and try something big. Unless you try something big, unless you have the ability to fail big, you will never ever achieve big in life. That's what my mantra is in life. And that is what I have been telling this to my students, to my uh, fellows, whenever I have got a chance to speak to them, that learn, inculcate this ability to fail big. So it's very important.
Yeah. So that's a very good advice. Next question for you is that AI is bringing in a lot of disruption in our world, right? So you coming from a military leadership background, what advice you would give to corporate leaders so that they can imbibe some of the principles from this armed forces leadership principles and make their corporations better, lead their people in a better way, do things in a proper ethical way, and all that. So, your advice is
Yeah. You see, in the army, we follow a system that we define a leader's intent, in which why and what is given and how is left to the people or to his command to follow, right? That much of flexibility is given. So you give why and what and leave the how to them. So similarly, in the civil world also, they can have a clear vision and guidelines given and leave the flexibility to their junior teams and to the junior leaders or micro leaders to follow. That is one. Secondly, in the army, we lead by personal example. Okay? That if I have to ensure that my junior does something, I'm talking about in a battlefield situation, in a warlike scenario, then I must do it. I should be willing to face the bullet first. Only then I expect my man who's working under me to face the bullet, same bullet, right? If you are scared to face the bullet, or if you're scared of a situation, obviously you can't expect that people will follow you, right? So leading by personal example, the same thing can be imbibed by the corporate world. And also something very important is in the army, we don't hesitate to own responsibility for failure. There are two type of loyalties. We are used to upward loyalty, being loyal to your boss, being loyal to your senior, you know, always. But in the army, we also work on the downward loyalty, being loyal to your subordinate, being loyal to your people who are working under you. Only then they will open up with you. Only then they will feel that their genuine mistakes will be pardoned. Anything that they have done, committed mistake by default, right? Not by design, will not be held against them. It gives them freedom to work, right? So it's very, very important, this lesson. And then we also have one more thing, something called as tolerance for ambiguity. In a fleeting situation, warlike situation, in operational situation, there is something called as tolerance for ambiguity. The situation is very ambiguous. There are no orders which are available. You can't look back over your shoulders and ask, what should I do? What should I not do? So you have to be on ground and tolerate tolerate that ambiguous situation and go for it as per your wisdom, as per your whatever experience that you've gained, and take a call. It is called as tolerance for ambiguity. It's a very, very important quality, and that can be also taken by the corporate people.
Yeah, and the leader should be open enough to, I mean, look at the situation and say that it's an ambiguous situation. You did whatever was the best possible thing. So we all
Yeah,
look for that kind of a leader when the situation, I mean, is solved or something like that, right? But unfortunately, in the corporate world, it's a blame game, right? Why did you do this? Why did not do this and all that? So
it's
unfortunate
very
world.
it's very important to own responsibility for a failure. After all, what will happen? The heavens are not going to fall. People will respect you more. You will create a brand. People will develop faith and confidence in leadership. So it's very important. Give the whatever success that you have, share it with everyone, and failure, take it yourself.
Yep,
Have that courage.
absolutely. That's a very very important principle. Um, Time has just flown. We have already recorded 1 hour 10 minutes, so I have last two questions for you.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Mm, See, I believe in leadership. One of the important things is to build up trust with your team
Yeah.
members, with your people whom you are leading. So, in this world of AI, where algorithms and data and everything is shaping our world, how do you build up trust with
Mhm.
like from your people, that you trust them? And trust is a two-way street, right? I trust them, they also need to trust me. It's not a one-way street. So how
Yeah,
do
yeah.
we do that in this
Mhm.
kind of a world?
You see, trust is the end game. You know, either you are able to, as a leader, create trust and faith in your followers or people who are working for you, or you have not been able to do that. And especially in the AI enabled world, where everything is given to you, the decision support system, the AI is giving you options. Now, it can build scenarios. It can give you 10 scenarios, 20 scenarios within a matter of no time. It can give you options you have to pick up and choose. What you need to tell people is that ultimately, you don't go blindly by what AI is giving you. AI is simply a tool. That means AI is not taken over as CEO. AI has not become the commander. AI is still a tool in my hand as a leader, and I'm using it as per my intuitive wisdom. I'm using it as per my spiritual intelligence that I mentioned to you. And at the end of the day, selecting an option out of 10 options that has been given by AI is my responsibility. Hence, if there is a failure tomorrow, I will not end up blaming AI. Can I end up blaming AI? No, I can't. Because ultimately, who decided that to take that option? It was one of the options generated, and I've decided to take it on. So AI should not become the master. AI should remain working, it should work under you. I won't use that harsh word that it should work as a slave, but it should work in collaboration. It should be your strategic partner, right? And that is the message that you must tell everybody who are working for you in that team or in an organization that you're working, that you will hold their hand. And if AI given output by any chance does not work, doesn't matter, you will still hold their hand. After all, we all commit mistakes. So that is how slow. Trust is a continuous process. You don't build trust overnight. See, and people will understand that this is a genuine guy. He means business. He does not, punish anybody unnecessarily, or he doesn't hold anyone responsible. Yes, if there is an error of intent, you've done it by design. Yes, then there is a problem. So trust you develop over a period of time. It is the continuity that is very important in building trust. So in AI enabled world, trust, empathy, all these factors are very, very important, because that is what infuse feelings, emotions, harmony, which is again very important for a good work culture. After all, today it's a work culture. Now imagine Microsoft. I'll give you an example of Microsoft. Satya Nadella. When nothing was working for Microsoft, there was a time when Google, Apple, Amazon, they were taking away everything from Microsoft. Imagine that is the time when they decided that let's change the CEO to Satya Nadella. What Satya Nadella did was the most remarkable thing. He built the corporate culture. The culture was so toxic. There was unhealthy competition. People were leaving. They had left. They had no faith. They had no trust. But he was able to handle that first. He addressed where it was required the most. He built a culture. He built a synergy of people around them. He collaborated with his arch rivals. I mean, he did something which is unthinkable. And look where Microsoft is today. It is threatening to become number one digital company in the world. Nvidia is number one, and it is closely behind Nvidia, Microsoft. So that is how you build trust, which is very important in AI enabled or whatever is any world that you talk of.
Yeah. So somebody told me very early in my life that in order to build up trust, and you rightly said, it cannot be built up overnight. You need to keep practicing it. And the best and the effective way to build up trust over a period of time is to do what you say what you do in a clear and transparent way. So that
Yeah, yeah.
helps in building up trust.
वो
So
वो एक लाइन है ना कि वो एक लाइन है ना कि अगर मैंने कमिटमेंट कर ली, तो फिर उसके बाद मैं अपनी आपकी भी नहीं सुनता. So that is what it is. Once
yes,
you've given a
yes, yes,
word, once you've given a word to your subordinate, once you've given some policy, then don't change it overnight, right? Then you must stand by what you've decision that you've taken. आपने एक
right.
बार कमिटमेंट कर ली, तो फिर किसी की सुनने तो छोड़ो, अपनी भी नहीं सुननी चाहिए. Then you must go through that commitment. You must fulfill that commitment. That is what builds trust.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So last question for this podcast, sir, for you.
yeah.
Finally, if you have to leave this podcast with a timeless wisdom for future leaders, future aspiring leaders, what would be that advice as a leader?
You see, in the we are now in the technology-driven world. We are now AI is getting into our system, and so my message to the future leaders would be something which is related. I would advise them to treat AI in collaboration with SI. That means you are basically matching machine intelligence and human intelligence. You're collaborating the two, right? And by doing so, you elevate the potency of your leadership quotient. And by doing so, thrive in the new age setting. Collaborate AI and SI, elevate the leadership potency, and thrive in the new age setting. That's what I feel.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. I mean, a lot of people only think that AI is going to be the future, but humans have a big role to play. That's what I think. So before
Yeah.
we end this podcast, sir, I wanted to give you some time to talk about your books for the viewers, so that they also get to know about your work, and in case they are interested, where from they can buy your work, and how they can get in touch with you if they want to have some kind of a contact with you after reading your books.
Yeah, my both the books. I've written three books. The first book, While in Service, that's not open to public. It has got classified material. And after retirement, I've written two books. The first book is Human to Human: The Source of Joy in Relationship. I'll repeat, it's Human to Human: The Source of Joy in Relationship. Now, this book has got two elements, as the name suggests: human to human, which means that what I've tried to say in this is that we humans are the microcosmic reflection of the macrocosm. We are the conscious part of the universe. Universe exercise its powers through us because there is no other element who's got the boon of awareness as we humans have. Because universe remained unconscious upon manifestation for billions of years till we came. But we live a very ordinary life. We've forgotten about our human abilities. We have forgotten that universe operates through us. We can be as powerful, we can be as creative, we can be co-creative and live a very happy, healthy, and affluent life, but live a very ordinary life. So it is basically converting ordinary to extraordinary. That is the first part of the book. And second part is the relationship, which is the underlying principle of human survival, and for that matter, survival of the entire universe. We are surviving only because we are in relationship with everything around us. The air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the chair on which we are sitting, the laptop on which we are working, everything. So, what relationship is all about, the power of relationship, and how a harmonious relationship can lead to collaboration, it can lead to success. And I've also talked about self love. Unless you love yourself, unless you respect yourself, you can't respect others. I've talked about spouse bonding, conscious parenting, and there are many subjects like this, human to human, networking, etc. So, this is the first book. And the second book is The Power to Influence the New Age. The Power to Influence the New Age. I have spoken very briefly about it during my conversation with you, and I'm talking about spiritual quotient as that power. So it has got three elements. Power is spiritual intelligence, which is inbuilt into a system. The second part is influence. Influence is something which we are all aware. We can sway the hearts and mind, actions and thoughts of people by influencing. And we this art is also inbuilt. Even a child also know, infant also know how to influence by giving a adorable gesture. And the third part is the new age in which we are now. So I have infused all three: the power, influence, and the new age. New age, what I'm saying, new age means that people who are living in the new age, specifically millennials and Gen Zs, how they can unlock their full potential. How can they blossom and thrive and not only survive? So that is what simple strategies in the book. It's a small read, 150 pages. The first book also is about 165 pages or 164 pages. Both are available on Amazon, Flipkart, and Kindle. And you can go and buy and read and enjoy. And that's what I thought I must share
Yeah,
with you.
sure. I would also request the viewers to go and buy these books and read about these timeless principles described by a wonderful man and our very own uh, Lieutenant General Vipin Gupta, sir. So, with that, sir, we come to an end of this session of the podcast. And I would like to again thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me time. And it has been an absolute honor, privilege, and I have learned so many things through this podcast, so many pearls of wisdom. I mean, it helps very often reminding these principles because these are the very principles on which humanity is based. Of course, there are angles, subtle angles that you have also brought in during this podcast, which I'm sure is going to help the viewers. It will definitely help me. So, once again, thank you for giving me time and this opportunity.